Hello guys, it's Paula back here. I don't know why I say that. You know it's me, but it's a habit. Okay, I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I wanted to do a project, take some of these old things that have been done, but are still very good, and just give them a little update. So, this is for my ink, but I think this is a Patricia design. I'm not sure because I get my designs from Gail, or she uses them a lot, and that helps me tremendously. But I thought after we get them together, or to a certain point of being together, we would collage on them. They're very small spaces. So this is how it will look, but only with a little bit of collaging on here. Now, we may or may not do the tag. We may let it stand out. But I just thought it'd be fun. I wanted to do it for the butterfly book, and I thought, what better way to do it than to just do it? I'm going to show you how to do it first. Can I say do it enough? I'm going to show you how to make this. I don't ever do single sheets because I just think it's way too flimsy. I do double, and that's still flimsy, but it's stronger than if you do single sheets. So I just took 2 sheets of text paper, and I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to glue them together. Now, I know a lot of people that make all these different projects with the old paper. I think they do have, do it with a 1 sheet a lot of times. And then there's some that probably don't. But I did them with one when I first started making all the different text projects. And I don't even know if there's an official name. Anyway, so I am just putting a good amount of glue on there, and then you want to glue them together to get the back piece. And if they don't match perfect, that's fine because they're not going to be this big. And then you smash it together and let it set and glue. I wanted to do this with you guys. I could have had them made, but I didn't want to do that. Okay, so this one is in 2 pieces. So this is 1 page folded in half, okay? Now, we're not going to attach it just yet because we want to collage. Now, we're only going to collage. We're not collaging the back. We're only going to collage down past this pocket, okay? And then we'll put a band on this pocket also. And we'll have to pull out the machine to do that, but I've got it right here. Okay. Now, I'm going to move some of this to the side. I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down too. I forgot to do that. Got to glue both of them down. And then let them dry. Hopefully I have one of these already dried. I think I do. Somewhere. Yeah, there's one. Now, caught it in the air. Now I have glue on my hands. So we want to make it be shaped like a tag at the top. So I'm going to just use this one for a pattern. This is my pattern, and I keep all my ideas made up so I can remember how to do them. And I'm going to cut around. It even shows the length is a little off. So I'm just going to cut around this. Real simple. Now don't get bored because you've seen these before. You got to stay with me so you can see what I'm going to do. Okay. So there is that. I also think we should go ahead. Well, no, we'll wait and do that band after the fact. Okay, so we've got our 2 pieces. And what we're going to do is try to stick with the color scheme for the butterfly book. So I'm going to pull out a piece of the scrap paper that has all the colors on it. And believe me, I didn't have hardly any left. I used every bit of this kit. So whoever's getting this book is getting like a $22 pack of paper. But you know what? I just wanted to play with it. I thought it was cool. And I wanted to make this book. So, these are the colors that we're dealing with, okay? Do I need to zoom in a little bit? I'm just afraid I won't stay in the space I need to stay in. Okay. Now, when you put this pocket down, you want to put the fold part up, because you want this to be a smooth entry for your tag. Okay, so we've got our tag shape. We've got everything we need. The last thing we'll do is stitch before we put it together. Okay, now we're going to go with yellow, pink. Here's some more pink. Of course, maybe some music sheet. There's some blues. Here's another blue. I just want to kind of do the blue, yellow, pink, and maybe some green, because we've got green in here too. Oh, that's the same yellow, isn't it? Okay, let me get over and get some of this green. And so we got green. The pink, the pink is more of a fuchsia, but we're going to work with it. So we've got blue, and we've also got some red in the kit. It's not showing on that piece of paper, but we have a lot of red. But I don't know if I have any red scraps now that I think about it. Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I'm finding it. Okay. As you can tell, I was not going to do a video tonight because I was super tired. And I told my husband I don't like to miss a day, and I'm going to go take my shower and see how I feel afterwards. And I feel fine now. I don't even feel tired anymore. So, okay, so we've got that little bit of red, which will be fine. We're not going to need a whole lot. Okay, so we got to get busy here, tearing and sticking. Now, since we have a text background, it's going to be okay if we leave some of the text also. So, we got these 2 to work on. So we, and only down to where this will start. I think I'm going to put right across this bottom, I'm going to put this whole piece of red, because it goes side to side. And I think that, let me get over a little bit. I have so much stuff on my desk from working on this book. So I've got a lot of the embellishments done. I've got all the stitching done. So tomorrow I have to put the book together. So, and I haven't done that yet. I've got to iron the lining and stuff to the Wonder Under. That's what my mom called it when we was young, and they actually sell Wonder Under. And I'll tell you, it works better than any of them. Where it adheres, put sticky on your paper or your fabric, and then the other fabric sticks to the other fabric. I know it sounds like a big, boring thing, but that's what it does. So I don't want teeny tiny pieces, but I'm just trying to do the corners right now, more or less. And that way, I'm about to lose my glue. I can tell it's down to the bottom. And I've got some right here, because I knew I was getting low. So I'm covering like the corners first so that it just goes a little faster. Okay, so let's do some of this pink. We can put it right in here. Something looks crooked. It's this, and it is. It's so funny because there's a slight design on this blue paper, and it's little polka dots, but when I laid the hearts down, it made the hearts look crooked. Now see, that's way better. I don't know why my eye picks up stuff like that, but I can tell when something's not center. And then I've got the husband that if you ask him to hang something on the wall, he pulls out every one of his tools. And, you know, I would get a nail and a hammer, but not him. No, he pulls out all his tools, his level, all that stuff, you know, to make sure it's straight and it's centered. But I love him because he's such a perfectionist, but it shows in anything he does. And I think that's awesome. Okay. Now, I don't want as big of a piece of yellow, but I do want to put it in this corner. So this is really, you know, this is going to make this tag so much sturdier. I know you guys know what I mean. Whenever you're done, it's just like it's lots heavier and it's not as flimsy and not as likely to come apart or tear. I mean, you can tear 2 of these pages really easy because, you know. Okay, I'm going to line this one up right here. And this is the way I start a lot of times. Now, not necessarily all the way around at the same time, but I do start with a corner usually. And my paper must not be straight because it is not wanting to go on here straight. So it's going in the trash because it will just mess my whole plan up. Okay, so let's get this other one. It still has a corner. I think that's going to be too big. Yep. Yep, it is. Okay. Hope you guys have had a good day. It cooled off here. We're in Oklahoma. You know, they had all those tornadoes. Luckily, they weren't in our very area. They were all around. And I'm glad because my husband wasn't home and I would be stuck here all by myself. So many years ago, when my father was still alive, and by the way, my father, I was named after my father and my mother. It's kind of an interesting story. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had the same names as their parents. But I think they were stubborn on whoever was going to get whatever name to... You know, one wanted this name and one wanted the other name. I'm going to have to cover that up. It's all smeared. And look, I think that paper is just naturally crooked. Oh, well. Okay, so let's put some green in here. We're going to have to bring that green down from the top because I don't really like it. This up here. See, I'm not that picky, honestly. But I think before we do it, we're going to do this little section right here. Now, we've done red, pink, blue, and yellow. And we're going to do green. So, let's do a different blue. I have some scraps left over from something I did in the book today. Listen, this book is going to be loaded with prettiness. Now, I know you're probably thinking, how can it be pretty when it's so wild? But it really is going to be pretty. Some of the images and stuff I've put in it are just really adorable. I can't get this the shape I want it to be. So I'm just going to come down on it right there. Now see this, the reason I wanted to do this, I wanted to see how long it would take to actually collage one of these, because I love making them. And it's just another way to get rid of our old text pages. And yeah. So let's cover up this crooked part. That's probably, it's not going to show in the long run. I just realized that, you guys. I just realized, because it's going to have that band across it. But you know what? We might even be able to, we can leave the band off if we want. That's up to us, right? Okay, now, I don't like this smudged area here that came off my fingers. So we need to use something we haven't used on here, and we haven't used this pink. Now, I'm not putting any newsprint on this. If we need any kind of newsprint, I suggest you use the text in the book. I just think it'd be fun just to do colors. You know, it brightens it when you just do colors. Let's see. I think I like that. It's kind of odd, but I think I like it. This is a heavier cardstock. When you have double-sided paper, it's really harder to, you have to put a whole lot more glue on it. That is if you want it to stay. But anyway, my mom and dad, back to my story. I distract myself. My mom and dad, my dad was, his name was Paul. And my mom's name was Helen Marie. My dad was Paul Howard. But my mother was Helen Marie. And I'm going to get this paper folded over here because it's too sticky. Smudging my stuff. Anyway, so when Mama had me, she was 22. But, and I was the baby. My sister was the oldest. My brother was the middle child. And we all have a very, very close relationship, even today. So, what did I do with my other part of my tag? I've lost it. Here it is. It's in this junk over here. So, they ended up naming me Paula Marie. And so I was the only child of the three that was my parents' namesake. And I was the baby. And if you hear it from the other two, I was spoiled. That is so not true. But anyway, so my dad passed away early in life. He was in a car accident. And he was 57 years old. That wasn't very old, but he had had a heart attack about 3 months before he died in his car accident. And he had 5 bypass, and that was brutal back then. Okay, we're going to do this top portion now that we can see what the lower portion looks like. So I think I'm going to use more blue this time. Oh, I don't want to take it all the way down there, do I? Just about right there. Anyway. So, I don't know why I thought I needed to tell you that, but then my mom, she was 67, and she had melanoma cancer. So, you know, that was brutal too. Neither one of them was a lot of fun. Especially, I think it was easier when we lost my mom because there went the glue. Got to throw it away. Get a new one. You know, we had a lot of time to prepare for that. And She wasn't one of the real quick ones with melanoma to pass away. She actually had it when I was a little girl. I know this is going to sound crazy because it sounded crazy to all the doctors when it reappeared. I was in the 7th grade, and my mom was 35 when when they took a mole off of her that was melanoma. Then they did some kind of big surgery and did some skin grafting on her. And anyway, long story short, they said they got it all and she had no more trouble at all. And they told her what to watch for if she ever had any, you know, they didn't doctor like they doctor now, obviously. But anyway, so 26 years later, you heard me, 26 years later, it showed up in the upper thigh, in the front, and they went and took this lymph node out. It was just a nodule on her leg. And well, I took her, you know, and the doctor said that this was the same cancer. And I'm like, how can it be? It's been 26 years. He goes, because melanoma is only superficial. So in other words, if it will show up on your skin just out of the blue, or it will show up in a mole, or the palm of your hands, or the bottom of your feet. So anyway, so they took it to the tumor board at the hospital because it was so rare for someone to have had it for 26 years, and it didn't reappear until 26 years later. So it blew us all away. They went in and did a major surgery on her and took out a ton of lymph nodes and so forth. But get this, she was in the hospital a lot because she would get infections, you know, from that big incision. She had like the letter T that was gigantic on her, and where they cut out all the lymph nodes. But anyway, and it would get infected and get cellulitis because of the infection, and it would just cause a nightmare. And she had, COPD because she was a smoker, you know, before all this. And my dad was too. As kids, none of us smoke now. But the doctor said we might as well have. You know, that the secondhand smoke is pretty brutal to people too. So, even though it had returned, it still wasn't fast growing. And she lived 8 more years. Now, mind you, a lot of it, she was pretty miserable, but really, up until the last year, or really the last year, she did really good as far as how she was feeling and so forth. But, yeah. So it was a rough year that year, but that was my mama and my daddy, and I loved them so much. And it's, you know, it's hard, especially on their birthdays, you know, and stuff that brings back, or something you see, like when I see roses, I always think of my mom because she had rose bushes everywhere in her yard, and she loved them. And we used to take her to the rose garden every Mother's Day, because she enjoyed getting to look at all the beautiful colors, you know, because they always have a million different colors. And so we got a lot of pictures of us all sitting on the stairs at the rose garden. A lot of the kids sticking their head through the roses. You know how they do. But anyway, so that's just a little bit of history about me. Also, another tidbit of history about me is my sister and I are very close. We're best friends, and of course we're sisters. But we absolutely see eye to eye in almost everything we do. And she doesn't make journals, but she does scrapbook when I convince her that she needs to. She would not have got into the whole scrapbooking thing if I hadn't pestered her. I didn't want to do it without her, but I loved it, you know. So anyway, so we're super close. They don't live in Oklahoma now. They live in Kansas. But for 13 and a half years, we lived next door to each other. So her daughter was raised by me and her, you know, and vice versa. Our kids were very close, and they still are. So that's makes life a whole lot easier when your family gets along so nicely, you know. And up until Charlie was born, they've all been very healthy. But Charlie is doing superb right now. And he is about to, you guys are not going to believe this. His sister is part of a theater group, and she's been doing it for a long time, and she's talented, but Charlie is going to be a munchkin. He won't have any lines or anything, but he's never got up in front of people. I mean, you know, we're talking about a baby that's been sick, and he's, you know, he's not been around. Oh, I don't need to go down there. I'm just rattling along and covering the whole thing. I'm just going to cover this other piece at the top. So he's been getting some good reports from the doctor, and he's so excited. He's been taking his medicine through a syringe instead of through his little tummy tube. He hates the tummy tube, and he wants it gone. And it looks like if he continues doing well, it will be. So we're all grateful for that, because 6 months ago we couldn't get him to eat at all. So he's doing great now. Here's another blue. I think I'm going to see about sticking it right in here just to make sure we're down far enough. I know we are, but I'm just into collaging right now. Okay, my room is hot. It is hot in here. I'm going to turn my fan on, excuse me. It's hard to concentrate when you feel like you're going to sweat in a minute. And it is not my thing. I don't like to sweat. Okay. All right, so we've got this part done. So the next thing we need to do... Oh, I didn't fold that very neatly. I've got these text papers all over the place. Okay, I'm going to move this and close the lid and try to get over to my sewing machine. Now, we will ink all this later, but oh, I love it. Look how bright. You could tell it's much brighter. So now I'm kind of questioning, should I have put some text on here? No, because that just makes it too dark, I think. So we are going to put the band across here. So I'm thinking how we should sew this. We'll do the band. We'll do it in text paper color here, so it separates it nicely. Now let me get over to my sewing machine. I'm trying here. There is stuff everywhere, guys. Okay, let me move this trash can back. That was holding up my scrap paper. And we'll get ready to stitch. Okay. I want to bring it over here where you guys can see too. All right, let's see if I can get my camera to go down on my machine. There. That was easy enough. Okay, so let's look at our sample. Basically, we stitched completely around this, and then I laid this on and stitched around the whole thing. That's simple, right? Let's make sure we have this on here square so I don't have to trim anything. I'll just go ahead and trim it now. Just leave a tiny, maybe a tiny bit out. Well, I'll just leave it out. I'll just leave it out. We're using black thread, so that's a good contrast for what we're doing. I'm going to move that a little bit more because I need to get closer. Okay, so we're just going to do a straight stitch because, you know, it's just faster and it gives you less hassle. Okay, let me find right there. I do back stitch a little bit here. I figured if we did this part, we could just sew over the whole thing. And I'm wondering if I should have sewed them straight across, then sewed in the side one separately. But that's, you know, in other words, don't do this portion here, and then when I go around it, catch this portion. But I was just looking at my sample, and my sample showed that I boxed it in. What can I say? I never remember how I do things until the next time I do them, and I have to figure it out. I need to do one more stitch. I don't know what I would do without my sewing machine. How do you guys feel about yours? Do you actually sew on yours any? See, I would rather do needlework than sewing machine work. That's just how it is. I'm definitely not into sewing. Now, I'll sew like book covers, and I'll quilt some paper or something, but that's about as much as it goes. You'd think with all the fabric I have that I sew. Okay, so now, I'm sorry, my light down here is just horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I get so aggravated when I think about it. Now, that's not the most perfect. See, I'm a little short right there. That's all right. We'll just catch it on this run. Okay, now I'm going to put these together, and I think I'm going to start down here on the bottom so I can control how this pocket is going to act, because if I don't, you know, it's going to slide around and our perfect fit is not going to be so perfect. Let me make sure. I hope I'm not sticking my big head out there, because I don't have any makeup on. Look pretty rough right now. See, it doesn't look super straight to me. Let me take that off for a minute. There's always a way to make this sort of thing work when it wants to slide. You just need to just clip it with a couple little clips. if I can find them. Of course, I pull out anything except the clip. Sorry, hope that's not too noisy. Oh gosh, I should have just lifted it over here. I knew that from the beginning. I was just in here today getting my clips out. Okay, there's 3 clips. That should get us through this. Okay, so I'm going to put them back together. I just want them to, I don't want this pocket to be totally crooked after all the work we did on it. And the first thing I'm going to do is clip here. I think this one side is, that's what the problem was. Now, there's one side of the back part that is not completely straight. Can't have that, so we'll just trim that off, and I'm going to get it straight on here. Oh, dropping things. I have to hold part of it in my mouth and then clip it because my hands are so weak. Okay. Now I'll have to take these out as we go along. Now we're going to start down here, but at least it will keep them straight till I pull them up. I could have used paper clips too, big ones, you know. Probably would have been much easier now that I think about it. All right. Yeah, see, this is already a nuisance. But at least it'll keep the sides together. That is not very straight. But you know, I don't really shoot for perfection when I do these. My journal stuff, I mean, if I can get it straight, great. I try to on my pages, but I'm not always lucky enough to do that. I almost went off the tag. Let me get this out of here. Sorry guys, I'm just concentrating. Trying to keep this from sliding. And I think we've achieved that. These little hairs that are around your face, the fan is making them, they're tickling my face. It's making me crazy. Okay, let me pull this down. Hope I'm not making you dizzy. Okay, I'm going to put those back in there and move that. Okay. Okay, so this is what we're ending up with. And when I ink this, it will calm down and not look quite so bright. And I'm going to show you how I do that now. I just jump in and do it, and even after I've re-inked my... So I'm kind of going to start on the sides like this, and as you can see, it's not, if you do that, you're not going to have it as dark. At least if you have too much ink on there, you're going to be able to. And I always do the edges because they'll look white if you don't. Now, some people don't ink at all, and that's okay too, to each their own. but I do like to ink the majority of the time, especially on anything with my journals. Of course, I tea stain all the papers and stuff, so we don't have to do that, but yeah. Now, here we go. This is how I do it. I just start doing circles, and then I kind of go along the edge of each piece of paper to kind of give it a dark edge. See, and you can see that there. Now, because this, I should have inked this tip. This is a tip. Ink your flap before you put it down. Yeah, see, because I'm going to have to do tricks to do it. And yeah, I would have liked it better if I had got it a little more controlled. Okay. And see, even though this is bright, it's also very settled. It's settled down. So let's look here and decide, do we want this to be, I think it looks better in text, but it needs to be stitched. And I think it needs to be sturdier. So what I'm going to do is put some, I've got it right here, some off-white. This is some scrap that I have, but it's in good condition. It just has a couple little places that are, let's see. Let's put it right up here. Decide which side we want this on. I'm looking to make sure it's all nice words. I don't see anything. Okay, so I'm gonna just put it right here. I think it, well, maybe not. We'll just do it right here. I'm just gonna draw around this with a pencil lightly, and then we'll stitch it on at the same time. And my pencil is buried, so I'm gonna get another one. Oh my goodness. I just sat down here, you guys, honestly. I had worked with this stuff and had it all out just to see if I had what I needed. And then I just was so exhausted I had to go lay down for a little bit. And my husband comes home, and so then I'm like, well, my paper scissors here. And then I'm just going to line it up on the back. Just put a little bit of glue in the center section. Not where you stitch. You want to make sure that, especially if you use Fabri-Tac, you do not want it around the area you'll be stitching, because it will ruin your needle and probably your machine if you get a lot on there. But see, I just do down the middle so that it holds it down, and then just lay this down. Let me make sure I've got it on the right side. Yeah, I do. There's never any kind of perfection in my tags. I try to make them all, you know, nice and even, but sometimes you just don't get that. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do real fast before we sew this, since I still have all this junk out. We don't really have anything to decorate our tags, so I'm just going to tear a few small pieces. Okay. And I'm just going to attach them kind of in a row. What other color? We need like a pink. I don't know what happened to my pink. It was over here. Good grief. Well, maybe we'll do a different color. Oh, here it is. This was kind of a last thought here. This is not planned either. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this one down. Where's my book? Where's my book? I'm going to glue this one down too. Come off of there. Oh, it would help to have the lid instead of the bottom. Have you guys ever done that? That's the second time I've done it. And it rolls your glue way down. Oh, I'm so glad to have a new glue stick. It just flows lots better. When it gets to the bottom, you can tell. Okay, and I'm just gluing this straight across. And I don't really want it to go to the edge, but I mean, this is fine. Okay. Do some yellow. And some blue. Now, if I could find, here's some green. Let's just do one more little piece. Well, crud. No, it's too long. I like that better. Come on. Come on, squirrely. Okay. And this way it looks like, you know, they were made together. Okay, let me set this over. We're going to have time to stitch this real quick. Now, we can, on the top of that, we can either put a button or we can put a, let me turn you over here, hold on. Or we can put a string of some sort, or lace or something. I don't think that's going to sew because I got the thread above instead of below. My machine likes to make me crazy. I'll tell you one thing, I was at Walmart and they had this thread for 97 cents. Didn't think about it. I came home and put it on my machine and my machine was knocking and there would be tangles in the thread. I did not like that part either. So that got tossed in the trash. Coming to the end. There we go. Let me turn you guys back. Oops, sorry. It started flipping on me. Okay, so getting to the end of this. And see how simple it was? You can do anything like this. And we'll have to do the other one another time. I don't want to put anything on here, but I might put buttons. You know, sometimes I'll put a button on the very top or a snap. Have you thought about snaps in a while? That's really old school. No, they still sell them. I guess there are people that have snaps on their clothes. I haven't seen any on mine in a long time. Yeah, I'm not inking the whole thing. I'm just kind of giving it a little bath. There, a little sprinkle. Okay. All right, guys. I think we are almost done here. Now, I know that seems super bright, but if we hold it up, let me back you out. Whoops, wrong way. I guess I didn't have you back that far in, but see, if you look, it matches. I wouldn't do this bright color for just anything, but I feel like it turned out decent. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you're new, welcome. But also, go back and watch all the videos, except maybe the first one. I was really nervous. Good night, you guys. Bye.